Hello, everybody. My name is Piibe, and I am agronomical advisor at eAgronom. And today I will talk about eAgronom's practical experience in carbon farming. So let's get started. Why do we worry about soil health, or why should you be worried about soil health? Soil organic matter is one of the major indicators of soil health. So as you can see, it takes part of biological, chemical, and physical characteristics of the soil. So if soil organic matter levels are dropping, then we can say that the soil is going through a degradation process. This means that the soil is losing its fertility, and in longer term, this is not sustainable because we need to feed the world, we need to feed the growing population. Agriculture has advanced a lot, as you can see from the left side of this slide. We used to need 1,300 square meters of land to produce 250 kilos of corn. And nowadays, we are around 160 square meters. So we have come to a point where less than 2 hectares of land is needed to feed a person. But all of that has come with a price. So again, from the map, you can see that those red areas are most arable soils in the world, and these areas are going through a degradation process, which means that soil is losing its fertility. And this is not the only problem. The other problem is how to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, how to stop climate warming. Studies of crop growth have shown that with each degree of global temperature rise, major grains will lose 10% of their yields. And the other problem with soil degradation actually is that it is happening so slowly that it's not going to be noticed by public. It's not like any other environmental problems that we have, like decreasing water supply or deforestation, that you can very visibly see. Soil degradation usually happens unnoticed. To tackle those challenges, the answer is quite simple. We need to take carbon from the air and put it back to our soils. So in order to do that, we should try to increase those blue arrows. So this is the carbon input to your soils. And at the same time, we need to decrease carbon losses. You can also look at it as a seesaw. You have to always put back more in than you will lose, because not all that you put in will be transferred to your soil organic matter. Some of it is always going to be lost. So the left side of this seesaw must be bigger than the right side. Or you can look at it as a bank account, where fresh residues that you give to your soil, these are like your checking account. This is like a salary that is transferred to your bank account. As a normal human being, you always put some of your money to your savings account, and this is your decomposing organic matter. You can take money out from there in order to cover some unexpected costs, like bare soil during the winter, but generally you try to save it, you don't touch this account. And then you have your retirement fund. This is your stabilized organic matter. This is there for the future, it's your stable carbon, and you don't use it, it's there for 20, 30 years. But how to increase your retirement fund? The first thing is try to limit soil disturbance, try to limit losses. Some geologists say that people move more earth around than nature itself. So every time that you cultivate, that you plow, you put oxygen in the soil, and mineralization of organic matter starts. In the past, it was necessary because during this mineralization, some nutrients are freed and you get like a boost of a yield. But in longer term, this is not sustainable because it slowly and steadily decreases your soil organic matter. No-till farming, on the other hand, is much less invasive than plowing. It comes with a list of benefits that you can see from the slide. You don't touch the soil, you don't cultivate it, maybe only use microtillage with a straw rake, but in general, you don't add oxygen to the soil. So by no-till farming, you reduce compaction, improve soil structure, improve water holding capacity, and in general, you save fuel and you save time. In order to set an example, we organized a no-till demo day in Estonia this autumn. We had 16 drills present there, and 300 plus farmers participated. I know that a big group of Latvian farmers also visited our demo day, and maybe some of you are here today as well. We sowed winter wheat into oilseed rape stubble, and we are keeping a close eye on this field until harvesting. We also have some initial results. Right now, everything looks good. Some plots are drilled a bit deeper than the others, but in general, before the winter, most of the plots are at the same growth stage. And you can read about the initial results from eAgronom's blog as well. So we talked about limiting the losses, but there's another half of the equation as well, how to increase carbon inputs. First thing to do, have a diverse crop rotation. Then try not to take the straw away, leave the residues on the ground. If you need to take the straw away, import it back as a manure or a compost. And the most important thing is try to maintain a living root in the soil for a year long. How to achieve that? Mostly, you can achieve it by growing winter crops. But we all have spring crops in the rotation as well, and that's when cover crops can be a solution. Cover crops also come with a long list of benefits, but the most important thing is that they help to keep the soil covered when it's usually bare, so from harvest until spring crop sowing. I will not read out all the benefits that cover crops bring you, but they are very important fresh carbon inputs to the soil, because both above and below ground biomass will stay in your soil. It is not harvested, so it's a very, very good carbon input. In order to get a better understanding of cover cropping in Baltic conditions, we have organized field trials for 2 years already. We evaluated different cover crop mixes and also single species, and we also tested different establishment methods. And our aim was to get real hands-on experience and to share this experience with farmers, so with all of you. Our first trial was in 2022. It was in southern Estonia. In general, it was a very, very hot summer in Estonia, maybe in Latvia as well, so we didn't have rain. The first proper rain came at the end of August. And what was also very unexpected was that we got some very early night frosts. So at the beginning of September, some of the cover crops were already killed by frosts. We sowed this trial on 8th of August, so it was exactly on the same day as harvesting. And to illustrate the soil type there, we did a soil excavation. You can see that the soil over there is very nice and deep. It has this red sand in the lower levels. But the other trial in 2023 in northern Estonia was totally different. We had enough rain during the establishment. We didn't have night frosts until end of October, so we had a really nice peak growing window. And, well, soil conditions were totally different as well. You can see that it's a very, very shallow soil. It's 50 to 80 centimeters topsoil, and then you hit limestone. It's very common for northern Estonia. But now about the results. As I said, we tested different establishment methods. So this is the first one. This is autocast system, which means that small seed boxes are placed on a harvester header. And this broadcasts seeds during the harvesting, and then later on straw is covering the seeds as a mulch. As you can see from the picture, we were not the most successful with it as in our first year. There are two reasons. One of the reasons is that it was too dry, so we didn't have rain, we didn't have good germination. And the other reason is that we used wrong species probably, because we tried to broadcast Phacelia, Eheri vetch, and buckwheat. So these are quite large seeds, except for Phacelia, which need better soil contact. But next year, in 2023, we also did autocasting. We were much more successful, I would say, as you see from the picture as well. We autocasted white mustard and tillage radish, and of course we had plenty of rain as well. Then we tried this type of a harrow, which is not a very good harrow for cover cropping because it tends to drag all the straw to the piles, so seeds are stuck in it, they don't have soil contact, and they don't germinate. So the picture actually also shows that we were not very successful, and some of the green over there is just wheat volunteers, not cover crop. Then we tested direct drilling, as you can see, Horsch Avatar, and worked very well both years. And also we did what we call combi drilling, because we used Horsch Focus, which has a set of tines in the front. And again, a very successful method. Here you can see the costs of different sowing methods. So autocasting is the most cheapest option, but it doesn't work in every condition. Combi drilling, on the other hand, is much more expensive, but even on dry years, works pretty well. Here are some pictures of our failures, because we always say that we want failures in our trials, because then we can learn. So here you are, buckwheat that is killed by frosts. Then we tested red clover, which is not the best clover for autumn cover cropping, but since farmers have the seed in the storage usually, we wanted to see if it actually works. But it was struck by weevils, so it actually didn't grow at all. And also, one of the failures, we were trying to grow black oats. Black oats are quite common cover crops in Germany and in UK, but in Estonian conditions, they were hit by rust, and actually they were not growing as rapidly as we were expecting. So our common oats outperformed black oats. But what went well, both years we have grown very good tillage radish. You can see autumn picture here, and what is left of it by the springtime. So it is not overwintering, and it is very good to get rid of your compacted layers, and then it just disappears by the spring, so it doesn't disturb your spring sowing. Buckwheat was very successful in 2023. As I said, we didn't have night frosts, so all of the mixes that had buckwheat in it were looking really nice. And this is a picture about the Phacelia-based mix, which again performed very well. Here you can see some results from 2022. We measured above ground biomass in dry matter. So you can see that our mixes outcompete the single species, what was expected as well. So the best result was more than 5 tons of dry matter, above ground dry matter yield. And if we calculate a bit, then we know that there's roughly 45% of carbon in plants. So with 5 tons of above ground biomass, you have actually grown 2.25 tons of carbon per hectare. As I said, not all of it is sequestered. So the rule of thumb is that about 20% of this carbon will be part of your soil organic carbon. So with this yield, you have increased your soil organic carbon by 0.45 tons per hectare. And if you want to know how much good have you done for the environment, then using a factor of 3.65, you can see that with 5 tons of above ground dry matter biomass, you have removed 1.6 tons of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So this is the table of different mixes. In general, cover cropping, of course, is not a cheap investment. We have seen throughout our trials that the average cost of seeds is around 50 to 70 euros per hectare. It can always be more expensive if you prefer ready-made mixes from the resellers. But if you partly use your own seeds and then do your mixes yourself, then you can bring the cost down. So if you add the sowing cost to the seed cost, then average size of the investment for cover cropping is around 100 euros per hectare. This year we also tested with nitrogen. We added 25 kilos of nitrogen to our plots. And you can see that this 25 kilos of nitrogen actually doubled the biomass of those species that we measured. You can also see the visual difference from here. On the left side is tillage radish, and on the right side this is Phacelia. And of course the taller plants are the ones that received extra nitrogen. What else is important? Soil's natural fertility is also very important, and how you feed your pre-crop. So this year we were sowing white mustard in southern Estonia and also in northern Estonia. Remember the different soil profiles. So the sowing took place pretty much at the same time, but in southern Estonia we were growing 7 tons of dry matter biomass, but in northern Estonia only 2 to 3 tons. So soil's natural fertility is also very, very important. Sowing time is very important. This is a picture not from our trials, but from Estonian University of Life Sciences trials. So here you can see tillage radish and hairy vetch sowed different times. And of course, the earlier you sow, the better are the results, the bigger the biomass. So what did we learn from our trials? The most important thing to keep in mind is that you are investing in your soil health. So cover cropping is like investment to the future. So it needs the same attention to details as main cropping. Growing window is very narrow in Baltics, so try to pick quick-growing species. Establishment method must match the season and the chosen seed. So we were successful with autocasting 1 year, but another year not so successful. So you always need to evaluate what are the conditions, do you have enough moisture, what kind of establishment method can you use. Drilling date is very important, as you just saw, so early never borrows from the late. But if you are late with drilling, then a bit of fertilizer might make up for the later sowing date. This is something that we want to test a bit further as well. We want to know how much nitrogen is the most efficient, when to give it. So hopefully next year we will do some tests as well. Soil fertility and how you feed the pre-crop has an effect on the dry matter production. And what we also saw this year in Estonia was that on some fields, Phacelia didn't want to grow. And then we investigated a bit, and saw that the reason might be sulfuron herbicide residues in the soils. So this is something that needs careful planning as well. So if you have a very, very dry summer like we had, then some herbicide residues might stuck for longer, and then some cover crop species might be affected. Complex mixes are very good, but they are also very expensive. But as I said, if you mix your own seed with purchased seed, you can bring the cost down. And in general, cover cropping needs careful planning, because during sowing time, we all know that farmers are very busy. You need to harvest, you need to drill your oilseed rapes. So try to get the seed ready, try to have it in the storage, so you can grab the opportunity when the time comes. And I would like to end this presentation with this nice sentence that we should all try to feed the soil, so in turn, soil can feed us. Thank you.